Hello everybody and welcome to the LFC transfer room with myself, Louis Fell. We're back for another episode of the chat room. It's good to be on time this time, no technical issues whatsoever. We're straight into it, pretty much bang on 7:30. So thank you for those who've stuck around this time. Thank you for joining me. If you are new or you haven't done so already, please do like this video. Please subscribe to the channel as well. It massively helps us out as a channel. We'll be here every night from 7:30 from now till the season begins, till the end of the season and beyond. We're here for the long run. Plenty to talk about in today's show, so we'll get straight into it. We've got Conor Bradley moving out on loan. Is Nico Williams to follow? Will we sell him? Mane is in Munich and completed the first part of his medical, as far as I last heard at least. Minamino, he's come out and said a few comments, so we'll take a look at those as well. And then the main crux of this video, you can tell by the title, you can tell by the thumbnail. I want to talk about, it's becoming a bit of an FSG show. It's not the chat room, it's the FSG room. I want to talk about our contract policy. We've spoken a lot about transfer policy, Moneyball. You know, do we go out and spend big? Do we keep doing what we've been doing and try to find players just below world class and bring them up to that level? Now I want to talk about the contracts, because there's a lot going around, obviously, with Salah entering the last year of his deal, with Mane leaving because our salary for him wasn't good enough, and reports over the last couple of days that maybe we won't go for Bellingham. There's a bit of pessimism from certain Liverpool sources, whoever they may turn out to be. Might be not Michael Edwards, might be Julian Ward, could be the tea ladies. Who knows exactly who those sources are? But plenty to discuss today. So let's get into it. And of course, if you are new, this is the chat room. This is by the viewers, for the viewers. So make sure you are getting involved in the live chat. Any questions you want to ask me, any topics you want me to talk about, get them in the comments and we will, of course, go through those as well. So like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Share it out a bit as well if you've got some mates around or some Liverpool supporting friends. Share it with them as well. Let's get into it. Let's start off with Conor Bradley. Played a few times. Let's be factual. Let's be factual about this, and let me find out exactly how many times Conor Bradley played for us this season in the first team at least. But he has agreed a deal to move out on loan for the season to join Bolton Wanderers. Of course, former Premier League teams back in the glory days, now lingering in League One. If I just try and Google this at the same time. A lot of people were thinking Nico Williams is going to leave, so we'll get Conor Bradley. Conor Bradley will step up. 18 years of age, Northern Irish footballer, has moved to Bolton Wanderers. I thought those calls were a little bit premature. You know, he is incredibly young. And he's not going to be a generational talent, is he? There's, you know, he gets high ratings at the academy. A lot of people are impressed with him. He's not the next Trent Alexander-Arnold, is he? So to heap that much pressure to be the backup at this level behind someone like Trent is just not realistic, is it? So he played 3 games in the Carabao Cup and 1 in the Champions League. I presume that was a substitute appearance, wasn't it? But most of his Liverpool starting 11 came in the Carabao Cup run, along with many others from the youth academy as well. And I think he did okay. There was one game where he played brilliantly. I think that was the first one. And then in the next 2, he looked a little bit more shaky when, you know, the adrenaline starts to wear off a bit and you're not quite as fearless as you once were. I think this just makes sense. Obviously, we've bought in Calvin Ramsey. He's going to be the true backup this year. We'll see what he does. We'll see if he's got anything about him to become, you know, I don't want to say a threat. I don't want to say a threat to Trent Alexander-Arnold, because that's never what Calvin Ramsey was meant to be. But can he become like a Kostas Tsimikas? Can he become someone who, in any other team, would be knocking on the door? But we just happen to have the best right back in the world playing for us, so it's hard for him to knock down that ceiling. But moving to Bolton, they've come out and said, look, if he's playing at a team like Liverpool under a coach like Jurgen Klopp, there's obviously a belief there that he is an elite footballer. You can't operate at a team like Liverpool without being somewhat elite. So we expect him to come down to this level and help us achieve our goals. So absolutely no problem with that whatsoever. I don't think anybody was crying out for us to keep hold of Conor Bradley. But, you know, we can't have 4 right-backs. Well, I know we've got 5 substitutes, but you don't put 4 or 5 right-backs on the bench, do you? So Nico Williams is probably the next one out the door. Fulham are looking to put in a bid soon to knock off any interest from, I think it's Nottingham Forest, who are the other club. I mean, he knows Fulham. He was there. He knows the players, knows the coaches. Part of the setup that got promoted. Why? I don't see any other reason. I don't see a reason why he wouldn't pick to go there if it came between him and them and Nottingham Forest. And I think if anyone out of the 3 that got promoted are most likely to stay up, it's maybe Fulham. But again, not many clubs who come up to the Premier League nowadays tend to stay. They are yo-yo clubs. You know, I am convinced we're going to see Norwich City back up next year. I'm convinced of it. I'm also fairly confident that Burnley will bounce straight back up again. Peter, thank you very much for subscribing. That's very, very kind of you. Do feel free to get involved in the live chat as well. Thank you to everybody who was just joining, by the way. Hi, Alan Matthias. Good to see you all. Of course, this is the chat room, guys. So this is all about what you want to talk about as well. I've got my topics, but bring yours to the table as well. Any questions, Liverpool related, any topics you want me to discuss, bring those up and I'll be more than happy to go through them with you. Make sure that you do like the video as well and subscribe to the channel, just like Peter has there. I think 7 minutes is enough time for Conor Bradley, don't you? Mane, it's happening, isn't it? There's not going to be a last-minute stay of execution. He is not only on his way to Bayern Munich, he's arrived. He's currently undergoing the second part of his medical, unless that's changed in the last few minutes. Completed the first part of it, no problems whatsoever. A lot of people were... he's been pictured signing autographs in Munich. I think a lot of people were micro-analysing him. There's pictures where he's not smiling, he's not gleeful, he's just, you know, got his normal straight face on, and people were saying, oh, he doesn't look happy. He looks like a sad boy. Why have we let him do this? Why have we pushed him out? Why couldn't we just pay him what he wanted, you know? I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure Munich have given him the contract that he wanted and probably did deserve. And you know, he's gonna be okay, everybody. He's not struggling. He's going to go to a club that's going to win a shit ton of trophies in the 3 or 4 years that he'll be there. You get to play against alongside some fantastic players. Maybe they'll do well in the Champions League next year. Who knows? Maybe they'll win it. He's not, you know, he was never born and bred Liverpool, was he? He's not like a Curtis Jones or a Trent or a Stevie G. He came in, did a fantastic job. We loved him. He, I'd like to think, loved us as well. You know, he's not... He doesn't go home and have Liverpool all over his walls, does he? His family aren't lifelong Liverpool supporters, you know? Not everybody is. I know it's hard to understand, but not everybody is, and not every player that plays for us would have that complete adoration for the club. But he had his respect. He knew his place, and he knew what to and what not to say. I think that was the big difference between him and Mo Salah, was that he did tend to keep his mouth shut a bit more, which, you know, you can argue amongst yourselves whether that was a good or bad thing or not. Hyla says, I'm starving for a new midfielder. Even Fabio Vieira, who Arsenal just signed, I would have taken. Big talent. Well, yeah, a lot of other clubs in and around the top 10 making moves. Of course, Tottenham have signed Basuma. As you say, Arsenal have signed Fabio Vieira, who we were linked to at one point, and he would have been quite a cheap option, but, you know, no dice, and that's already over with, and we're not going to be in for him, so not worth worrying about. But, you know, I will come on to that. The midfield, it's going to take up most of this transfer window and beyond if we don't sign one. So there's plenty of time to talk about it, and we will cover that tonight as well. Even the new hairdo from Simicast didn't help. He's got cornrows now, hasn't he? I think that's a bit weird. It's a bit weird to get cornrows, isn't it? But no, as soon as that Mane stuff, the contract's been signed and it's official, he'll get a massive goodbye. I'm sure Jurgen Klopp will come out with a statement, and that's the end of that. I hold no grudges. I'm not particularly sad to see him go as well. I think maybe they'll come back to bite us in the ass. I think some people are maybe, and I might be one of them, maybe too chilled out about seeing Sadio Mane go, because he had a lot. Even though last season and the season before were not his best, he contributed a lot to goals, especially in the latter half of the season when most of our front line were hitting duds. Let me try and find the numbers for this. And, there's no guarantee that Núñez is going to automatically fill that. So we've got to take stock of exactly what he did. So in the season just gone, he had 23 goals in all competitions, which is, insane and massively underrated, and 5 assists. So 28 goal contributions altogether just in that season. So it's going to be difficult. It is going to be harder than some people might think to replace that straight away. Núñez is going to get a full pre-season behind him. Luis Diaz is going to get a full pre-season behind him. So we just hope that combined they can step up and, at the very least, cover that absence in both of their first full seasons at least. Again, thank you to everybody who is joining. This is, of course, the chat room. This is for the viewers, by the viewers, so please do get involved in the live chat. Let me know your thoughts on anything I'm talking about and anything you would like me to talk about as we say goodbye to Sadio Mane. Now, Minamino. Minamino is the next person on my list. Lots of apparent interest, and we are apparently okay to sell him for around about £17 million, which would be a tidy profit of about £9-10 million, isn't it? Which is, quite incredible for how often he played for us, which wasn't a lot. But then again, he had one of the best, what's the word? I'm never going to remember this word. Shot conversion rates, that's it. So let me find his as well, just so we know we're speaking facts. He's appeared in 11 matches this season in the Premier League, playing a total of 176 minutes, scores an average of 1.5 goals every 90 minutes, which is, again, pretty decent, isn't it? But altogether, because of course most of his appearances came in the cup competitions, so in 22 games he contributed 10 goals and 10 goals and 1 assist, so 11 goal contributions all together. Hyla says, I don't understand that we don't talk about the Mane pictures today. I must admit it hurt a lot more than I expected. I was okay with it. I can't lie to you. I was okay with it. Simicast on his way over to the dark side. Looks like he stumbled in Jamaica and went into a local barber. As I said, Costas' hair ain't going to get no insult from me. As I said, I'm in Hulk Hogan Hair Club and wear a bandana a lot. It's definitely a bit weird for a white guy to have cornrows, I think. It's certainly not a hairstyle that I'll be looking to get a hold of anytime soon, I'll tell you that. But no, there's interest from Southampton, Monaco and Leeds. I think if he's got any sense about him, I'd just get out of the Premier League. Because, he's been to Southampton. He got a goal on like his first appearance for them, didn't he? And then that's all anyone remembered. They were like, oh yeah, yes, he had a good spell at Southampton, didn't he? He didn't. He didn't have a good spell at Southampton, really. It was pretty tosh. And I think if he's not going to make it at Liverpool, I don't see the point of putting yourself at a worse club with less opportunities to get forward and worse players around, worse talents around you, you know? So last season, part of it was for Liverpool, but January onwards was with Southampton. 27 games altogether, 6 goals, 2 assists, so 8 contributions in 27. So, again, not horrific, but I'd honestly advise him to just get out of the Premier League, start again somewhere else, move to Monaco. Monaco are a nice little team over in Liga. And I mean, yes, you'll get pumped by PSG twice a year, but it's a fresh start and a chance to rebuild himself. I think it's the same reason like we signed him. There's a lot of marketing available from that, which sounds horrible, but you know, that particular part of Asia, that market that the clubs can tap into, that will be part of the conversation of all of those clubs that are interested as well as his talents. Vernon, no, we're going to talk about Bellingham, and I'm going to tie it all into FSG and Liverpool's contract structure in a little while, in just a few minutes actually. So do stick around for that. Thank you very much for watching. Are we going to get Ned Flanders look again? No. Hyla says, what are we going to do then for the rest of the summer? No more signings. Is there anything more to look forward to? I can't promise anything. I can't promise you anything, Hyla. I wouldn't like to lie to you that way. What I will say is, I think if all teams, all fans coming into the summer knew, like this, I'm just throwing you a grain of hope, right? All clubs and most fans knew that coming into the summer, Liverpool Football Club are probably in the search for a midfielder. It just feels like they're missing that one more who could really help keep it solid, make up for any injuries. You know, if we lose Thiago, who can come in? That right-sided eight, it's a specialist role, but have we got anyone who can really excel in it completely? I don't know. Is Henderson really a good enough backup for Fabinho in more than just the odd game here and there? So a midfielder was obviously a priority, but now we're coming out and saying, no, we're happy to wait. We'll wait till next year. We're cool. We're happy with who we've got. Yes, we'll sign James Milner for another year. Hell yeah, we'll keep Oxlade-Chamberlain at the club whilst we say goodbye to probably some more decent options, such as Takumi Minamino. If I was a club who was in that situation and knew that most other people assumed we were heavily, not desperate, but heavily in for a midfielder, I would be pretty keen to try and rule out that we actually wanted one here and now. I think it's pretty unrealistic for Liverpool to come out and say, no, we do not categorically want a midfielder. We don't need one. We don't want one. We're never going to get one. I think that's pretty unrealistic and pretty unbelievable. But for them to say, we're happy to wait. We've got our dream man lined up and we're happy to wait until next year. Just sends people off, doesn't it? And then suddenly, quietly under the scenes, Julian Ward can weave his magic, maybe. I don't know how good he is yet. Time will tell. And all of a sudden, if another club goes for someone that we're targeting, like just throwing it out there, like Sangar or Nunes, suddenly we'll just go in. We'll just go in for them, and we can match those bids. Or if no one else is bidding for them, we can just quietly kind of suggest something, and it's a bit more of a surprise. And when we're almost like we're double bluffing. I don't think that's unrealistic. I don't think that's unrealistic. We could so easily sign a midfielder. We could just so easily go out and get one. And I mean that both practically and like realistically. We could just out of nowhere, we could pull a Fabinho, and in suddenly 2 days we've gone from having no interest or nobody has even thought about it, and suddenly there's pictures of him at Kirby training ground, and he's taking pictures with the shirt and with Jurgen Klopp. That could happen. We're still only exactly 3 weeks We're exactly 3 weeks into the transfer window, and it doesn't shut until, I want to say, the 31st of August, unless it's a weird day in the middle of a month. But normally it doesn't close until the 31st of August. So there's still 2.5 months. I think that's crazy for us to fully have ruled out making any more signings. And that's, I need to clarify, that's not what the club has done, by the way. Paul Joyce has said that we would be happy to wait. If needs be, we're happy to wait. And unless something comes up, we're happy with what we've got. So we're not ruling we haven't ruled anything out. I think people with their preconceived bias of like what we've heard before, their thoughts on FSG, the idea that they don't want to spend, which you can argue is true or not true, that we're net spend trophy winners. They read that, and it's so hard to not think of it like, oh, so that's it. Nope, they've ruled it out. The excuses are coming in already. We're not signing anyone. Bellingham, we're going to have to wait till next year, at which case he'll cost more, and other clubs will be in for him. This is terrible. FSG are the worst owners ever. Yada, yada, yada. Bossman says, we've done this before. Liverpool-based journalists said we wouldn't sign a goalkeeper. Boom, 2 weeks later, Alisson signed. I'll be honest with you, I don't remember that. I'm sure you're right, but I don't remember that. I think there would have been bloody fury if we'd have said that. If after Karius's blunder we said we're not going to sign a goalkeeper. But again, I'm sure you're right. If the club wants to bring in a midfielder, Klopp would do it before the pre-season training. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. We rarely finish all of our business before pre-season starts. Very, very rarely. I mean, we've been good this year, but there's normally something else. I don't really know what to look for, but if someone could, again, not saying you're wrong, maybe you are right, but I don't feel like that's correct. I'm sure we've signed players whilst pre-season's going on, even like close to the start of the season. I'm pretty sure we've signed players. And, you know, we've done it in January as well. So, you know, again, it is about, for Liverpool, in their minds, it's about waiting for an opportunity to present itself necessarily. Vernon says, I see Barella links. So for your transfer news, like expert news, stick around for tomorrow. Wednesday and Sunday is Transfer Central, 7:30 with Charlie and guests. That is absolutely the place to be for all your transfer news. It's, I'd argue, the best Liverpool transfer show on... Thank you, Hyla. Yes, my first falsetto. I think I know what you mean by that. Yeah, so stick around for tomorrow, and I'm sure any Barella links will be talked about, because I have seen them, but I'm not an expert on it. Don't know the reliability of any sources. Charlie is the go-to wizard for that. So Transfer Central tomorrow and Sunday. Stick around, and you'll definitely hear the most and the best info on that. Yeah, so for me, there's still acres of time to potentially get a midfielder over the line. Who it's going to be, though, that brings us nicely on to the topic, the main topic of this video, which is FSG's contract strategy. We do have one. It's been discussed quite widely, especially with everything involving Mo Salah. Excuse me. Sorry. The heat wave has come back. It's really hot, so, you know, naturally the heat makes you quite tired. I'm not bored. Excuse me. Stortman did play well in Soccer Aid. I didn't watch Soccer Aid this year, actually. I haven't watched it in 8. I never know when it's on until it's happened. It's not. I don't feel like it's advertised very well, but hey ho. During the whole Salah debacle, which of course is still ongoing, the main drawback has been, obviously, we haven't met his dream salary demands, or what his agent is demanding. The reason for that is, of course, it's a lot of money, and also it would break our current wage structure. This wage structure is vitally important to how we operate as a club and to how FSG and Liverpool's recruitment team tend to move about in the market. It defines who we can go for. It defines the age of players that we go for. It defines everything. It's what allows us to operate at a sustainable level, potentially. In terms of finances, absolutely. It's, that's the whole reason for it, is to be sustainable. John, thank you for joining. Hope you're doing well. But is it sustainable in terms of on the pitch success? For a while, we've seen it absolutely is. But nothing lasts forever. I think this is a point I've been keen to make before. Nothing does last forever. You've always got to be looking to change things up. And whilst at the moment it feels like we're quite forward thinking in what we do, like obviously Klopp's brought in a bloody throw-in coach, which has worked wonders. We're now one of the best teams at taking throw-ins. We've brought in like some sports psychology experts. Like I know that's common in football clubs, but like they've really taken it to another level and looked like in depth at, even penalty shootouts, exactly what to do. And we see Henderson acting as like that blocker when we're taking a penalty in the game. He always stands between the opposition players and the penalty taker so that they can't get into Mo Salah's head before he takes a penalty. This is all like the absolute finest of details that the club, Klopp, everybody involved has agreed needs to be looked into, and no stone can be left unturned, essentially. So, as I said, at this point we're a very forward-thinking club. But in the same way that all of that stuff's come out, we're never going to be the only ones doing it for much longer, are we? That someone else is going to start doing that. Other clubs will already be doing stuff like that. And someone else will take it to another level or look elsewhere, start doing things differently. And if we continue doing what we're doing right now, and I mean this in terms of wages, maybe maybe we'll get surpassed again. Maybe we'll start to fall off again because it just won't be sustainable. But I'm not here to make that argument. I think that's for you guys to discuss in the live chats and elsewhere, and I'll let you kind of be the judges of that. But I just want to hone in on the two most important debates when it comes to our salary structure, which is of course Mo Salah's new contract and Jude Bellingham. The last day or so, there's been a few things floating about that apparently sources feel pessimistic. Liverpool sources feel pessimistic about our chances of ever actually signing Jude Bellingham, not only because of his potential transfer cost, but because of his wage demands. So we'll take a dive into Bellingham first, because I think that's one that everyone's quite keen to get over the line and just do. Apparently we're going to wait till next year. Maybe we'll jump in this year. But are we ever going to actually do it or not? I don't think Paul Joyce has ever completely confirmed that Liverpool definitely are looking at Bellingham. And I don't know how many, tier 1 sources have confirmed that. I've always felt that Bellingham, whilst it would be great to sign him and he would be that kind of rock star, superstar, generational talent signing, which we've never really had in the Klopp era. I've always signed people and then built them up. And I know we'd build Bellingham up still, but he already feels like he's at that level and can only go even higher. But it never felt like it fit in with any type of business we'd done before. And I think I'm objectively right in that. If we signed Bellingham, he would be the first. He would be the first in whatever we're going for, and it would be a hole in FSG's wallet for sure. But it would be very different to our usual approach to transfers, which is buy cheap or cheapish, attempt to build up, increase market value, and then sell on or take them through their best years, and they can just go whenever at the end of their contract, which is what might happen with Mo Salah. But if we take a look at Jude Bellingham, of course, he's 18 years old. Reportedly, I couldn't find exactly, but the one I did find, about 49,000. So let's assume anywhere between 40 and 55,000 pounds a week he's currently on at Dortmund. He's 18 years of age. So say we signed him this summer, you'd presume for the investment we're putting in, it'll be on like a 5-year deal, wouldn't it? After 3 of those, you get into, he's only got 2 years left. So that's when the negotiations seem to begin with us. You know, happened with Salah, happened with Mane. 2 years left on their deal. From that point on, we start negotiating, right? I've missed a point. So we sign him at 18 years old. He's currently on £49,000 a week. He's going to be, his first contract with Liverpool, let's be realistic, it's going to break 100,000 straight away, isn't it? Like, whoever he's signed on with is going to rake it in for him. And he knows that he could go anywhere and get a ridiculous amount of money. So whether we like it or not, we'd have to at least equal some of those bids. You know, even if he is a Liverpool fanatic, which I'm not sure that he is. So let's say 120,000. That's his first contract for 5 years. 3 years down the line, we're looking to renegotiate. He's still only 21 years old. Right, he's 21 years old on a 5-year deal with 2 years left on £120,000 a week. Not only just naturally you're going to give him a pay rise, but if his current trajectory continues, at 18 he's brilliant, maybe world class. At 21, he's going to be already knocking at the door of some of the, you know, truly world class midfielders currently playing today. He's going to be right up there. A sensational player contributing massively to Liverpool's success, right? Let's assume that happens and not that he gets a catastrophic injury that ruins his career. So let's say he does really well in those first 3 years. What's his next contract going to be? He'd probably have to more than double it, wouldn't you? So let's go for the high end. £120,000 a week was his first contract with Liverpool. You know, I'm making this all up, but I feel like it makes sense. You're going to be more than doubling that. So what? £250,000 a week. So that's currently more than what Virgil van Dijk is on. And he would only be 21 years old. So let's say we extend for another 5 years. So he's got 2 left plus another 3. Then in another 3 years, he's only going to be 24. And you've got to re-sign him again. Maybe you could let it go until he's 25, 26. But with 2 years left on his deal, he's only 24. And he's now on his 3rd poxy contract with us. And he's already earning over £250,000. You know, we could assume. I feel like I'm not being too audacious with these predictions and these calculations, right? And bearing in mind, we've signed him because there's an expectation he's going to go on and become one of the best midfielders in the world, either at the time or bloody ever, right? So we're going to want to keep him. We're not signing him for a few years so he can then move to Real Madrid or Barcelona. We would be spending 80-odd million pounds just to sign him, plus all the other signing on fees and the wages of his contract, because we want to see him through the best parts of his career and then maybe let him go when he's in his 30s and, you know, in his autumn years. But we want his prime, which is, you know, anywhere from between 26 to you know, 31, 32 as a midfielder. So he's on his 3rd contract and he's not even coming into his prime yet, and he's already on over well over £200,000 a week. So to then keep him on through the prime of his years, he's going to be breaking all sorts. He's going to be breaking all sorts of records for our wage structure. And I feel like this is quite a modest interpretation of how it would go down, because even after 2 years of a 5-year deal, he's probably demanding more wages, which we'd probably have to give him. You know, otherwise we're going to be looking at things like potentially wage. What would go in his contract? A minimum, a release clause. You know, if he doesn't get exactly what he wants, he'll say, fine, but I want £100 million release clause in my contract, right? And people like Real Madrid, they'll be sniffing around him as soon as he moves to us, the same way that they are with, you know, Erling Haaland. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying we can't do it or we can't make it work or that we wouldn't try and do it. Because there is so much traffic around this rumour. There's got to be some truth in it. We've got to be scouting. We've got to be looking at him. Klopp has to be a massive admirer of him. And I feel like there's got to have at least been some sort of preliminary talks had with either the player, the agent, or Dortmund. There's something there. So obviously there's a feeling that maybe we could pull it off somewhere. Thank you very much, Daz, for the subscription. Much appreciated. I hope you do enjoy your stay on the LFC transfer room. Just before I keep going on, before I forget, make sure you do like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. You can also become a member if you would like to. You can press the join button or the link in the video description to become a member. It's only $3.99 a month. All of your very generous memberships go straight back into the channel. We don't take a penny out. And it goes into creating more content, more sexy backgrounds like this one, and just generally more content, more guests. And you get a cool name badge next to your name when you type in the live chat. So do, you know, if you'd like to, feel free to do that. Now, what was I saying? Yeah, I'm not saying we wouldn't sign Bellingham. Tommy says, give Jude a 10-year contract starting at 150k a week, raised by 25% every 2 years. Years 9 out of 10 ends up at £366,000. I think there's a reason why clubs don't do those sorts of things, because it's not only, not only would players not really want to sign for that long, but he could easily bloody get an injury in his first season and end up like Oxlade-Chamberlain. Who knows? That's a lot of trust, and you don't see things like that for a reason. It's a bit unrealistic. Hyla says, Louis is almost drooling on his Bellingham dream. I hope to God he never experiences that Bellingham signs for another club. The same with some of the others who seem so sure about Bellingham. Whoa. Hyla. Give me some credit. I'm spitting out the facts. I'm almost sticking up for FSG as to why it wouldn't be possible. I'm not drooling over bloody anybody. I think you've taken what I've said the wrong way a little bit here. I've said it never felt like a transfer we'd make. If we get him, hell yeah, I'm on that boat. But I've never felt like it's something that we would normally do. I feel like something has obviously changed if we are to go out and make a signing like that. So yeah, those are the numbers. Those are the numbers that I've made up. It could be completely wide of the mark, but I just feel like he's at such a young age and is already so highly regarded, has got such a transfer fee on him, has wages at a certain level which him and his agent would demand to be raised by a large amount in his first contract. We're going to be looking at, if we want to keep him, having to renew his contract every 3 years and signing him to 5-year deals. By the time he comes into his peak, and I'm just summarising now, by the time he comes into his peak at about 26, 27, you would expect, he's already going to be pretty much breaking our contract structure, our wage structure. Is he worth it? Again, that's not for me to decide, I don't think. I don't think that's for me to decide. I'll let you guys stew on that one, and we can always come back and revisit it another time. I just think it's incredibly interesting. It's something that doesn't get talked about a lot, just how out of the box a Jude Bellingham deal would be for a club like Liverpool, who don't go after, young generational talents. It's not something that we've needed to do up until now, and it's not something that we ever have done, especially under this ownership. So we'll see what happens. Hey Liam, I'm shocked Liverpool. Are you speaking to me? My name's not bloody Liam. Haven't made a big bid for Rafinha, as he would be ideal long-term replacement for Salah, who still refused to sign the Liverpool contract given to him. I think he's really up for, unless I'm completely confusing myself, I'm sure Rafinha's well up for Barcelona, isn't he? And yeah, is he moving to Barca, or Arsenal and Barcelona target Rafinha, makes transfer preference clear? Oh, hang on, wait. Very close to signing for... No, that was it. Sorry, no, I completely confused myself. Well, he's close to going to Arsenal. I mean, yeah, maybe we could go in and pinch it, but I hate to be a killjoy, and this is, again, what I just always say to people who say, oh, we should go for that player, we should go for this one, we should get him, he'd be brilliant, he'd add depth. If Klopp doesn't want to go in for him, or if our recruitment team isn't going in for him, why? Why do we need him? It's, you could just say the same thing. Well, why aren't we in for Lionel Messi? He's not had a great season, but he's still one of the best in the world. We could bring him in. He'd be fantastic, maybe. Why don't we just go and splash the cash on, Vinicius Jr.? He'd be fantastic. We can't buy everybody. We can't buy everybody. And, our attack is stacked at this point in time. I know that people think we don't have options at right wing. Maybe Luis Diaz can do it. Maybe Jota can play on the right, although I doubt it. If we're lacking somewhere, we will get somebody. In midfield, we're not lacking depth-wise. It's just quality-wise. And that's more subjective as to whether we absolutely need somebody this season or not. The Tchouaméni saga should be a core reminder for any Liverpool fan. Liverpool were in pole position for signing him for over a year until March. Real Madrid did not move until the last moment. Yep, and only because they didn't get Kylian Mbappe as well. Barcelona have debts to pay off. Yeah, but I think they've done something. I saw it. Mark Goldbridge was talking about it. Their board has agreed something which has freed up like a good few £1 million for them. And also institutions like Barcelona, they're never going to go under. They're always going to get helped out, bailed out by somebody. I know that's going to come back to bite me when they're suddenly liquidated at some point this season, but you know what I mean. But they've done something that frees up money for them, so now they're not as in a desperate state as many thought, and they are in the market for players. Lewandowski is apparently going there. He's not going to take a bloody pay cut. So, I wouldn't worry about that too much. Your honest opinion, do you think we will get Bellingham? Well, this is where it gets tricky, because all that we have to go off of is what different sources and journalists who have a mixed bag of reliability have told us. We haven't had a Paul Joyce tweet, and he won't tweet on rumours. He'll tweet on when someone's bloody joining, won't he? And, of course, nothing from the club, and, of course, nothing from Jurgen Klopp. So, all I can assume with what is available to me is that this idea that we're now willing to wait until next season, unless it is another attempt by FSG to bluff the fans into thinking we're spending big next year and then not actually do it. If it's not that, which I really hope it isn't, and I don't think they could get away with it if they did that again, I feel like there's been something said underhand, or there's been something done behind the scenes, maybe just a verbal agreement, maybe Klopp bloody phoned Bellingham or his agent or whatever, and maybe there's just something there that's in place for next year, like, Jude, how do you feel about moving to Liverpool? Oh yeah, that sounds brilliant. We're going to move for you next year. Okay, yep, I'm happy with that. If anything changes, I'll let you know, but that's cool. No worries, I'm your man. So, maybe that's what's happened. That's what I'd like to believe. Will we get him? I have to be positive, don't I? I have to be positive, but as Hyla said, Tchouaméni is a good example of that. And he says there are at least 10 teams that can offer Bellingham more on wages and transfer fees. It's not a case of can, it's a case of wanting to. We absolutely could if we wanted to, but at the moment we don't, and that's the problem with Mo Salah's wages. Who, I was going to go on a big spiel about Mo Salah, but I kind of want to shorten that bit down a little bit. He was a perfect FSG signing. Apart from not being able to maybe make profit on selling him, the way he's come in has been absolutely fantastic. I didn't have time to do this before, but let me just Google this now. When did Salah join Liverpool? 2017 he joined, so that would have made him 25, 26 years old. That's correct maths, isn't it? 25 years old. So he's had 2 contracts with us, or he's had 1 contract extended and given a little bit more money. That's perfect. 25 years of age, still just coming into his prime. Someone that Klopp could work with and turn into that world-class player. When you signed him for 35, 40 million pounds, bloody bargain with what we've got out of him. He's coming up to 30 now. He's just come into his 30s now. Yes, he's in a fantastic shape, but how long can he keep doing the things that he's always been doing? Maybe only for another couple of years. So is there much point really breaking your wage structure by that much? Is it worth doubling his current salary just to keep him around at his peak for another year or two beyond what we're still going to get out of him? I don't know. Again, that's for you guys to decide on. I would err towards no. I think where he is at his career, how he's been performing in the second half of the season, I expect him to come back out fighting this year coming up. I expect him to get back to his best. I think he will. And I think he'll end his Liverpool career on a massive high. But I think it's probably just about right, isn't it? What's the point of keeping him until he's 35? Yes, he'll be like Ronaldo. Like, yes, he can still contribute massively to the goal tally, and of course that's the most important bloody thing in football, so it feels a bit stupid to undermine that point. But Ronaldo scored loads of goals. But in terms of the team's general play, he, if anything, has a negative impact on it. Because he's not able to make the runs that he normally would. He's had to adapt his game massively. And that is what Mo Salah would have to do. You know, he's not the absolute fastest player ever, but he would still have to make adaptations. He wouldn't be the fastest over 5 yards. Playing as a right winger, as an inside forward, you still always kind of need that. It's not like a centre mid or a striker who can go well into their 30s. A winger will always need that burst of pace, and it's you know, this is very FIFA of me to rule out a player as soon as they hit 30, but you know, how much longer can you keep that extra 5 yards of pace on you? I don't know. I'm more than happy for us to keep him for that last year, get one last hurrah from him, maybe bag a few trophies, and then say goodbye on a bit more of a high note. You know, if it's settled, I think that's what people just like to know. If he just comes out and says, do you know what, it's, you know, the contract situation's a bit of a pain in the arse for everybody. It's not what I wanted. I love the club. You know, I love what it's done for me. I love the people. I love the fans. I love Jurgen. But, you know, I've got to look after my family and, you know, generations to come. So from next year, I'm going to look somewhere else, get one last massive pay packet, but we're going to enjoy this final year. That'd be fantastic if he came out and said that. I'd bloody applaud him for that. I'd be the first person to come on here and say, thank you, well done, love that, brilliant. It's the uncertainty, it's the it's not the backstabbing, it's, you know, the back chatting, the lip from the agent, the interviews. It's just creating an ugly picture, and that's what people don't like. Jen, good to see you. I hope you're doing well, and, you know, do feel free to go back to the beginning once this has ended. We won't be on for too much longer, but thank you to everybody who is watching. Please do like the video, please do subscribe to the channel as well. It massively helps us out. I'd love to get to at least 6,000 subscribers before the season starts. We've got pre-season coming up, that's going to be massive, but any help we can get from anybody would be fantastic. So please do like, please do subscribe, and consider those memberships. Jen is a perfect example. She's one of our members. You can see she's got a lovely badge next to her name as well, which is what you can enjoy as well if you would like to become a member. Link for that is in the video description. So yeah, Hyla says Liverpool need a plan B. We are 2 years behind on the midfielder signing already. Well, again, that's what we don't know. That's what we don't necessarily know. That's just come out. Even if Paul Joyce said something about it last year, which I can't remember if he did, he wouldn't have said FSG have told me or Klopp has told me. It's just a source. It could be anybody in the club. It could be one of the players. It could be one of the bloody security guards. And if he didn't, then we're just relying on speculation, and we're linked to bloody everybody. So, of course, we're linked to a lot of midfielders, and we didn't sign one last year. So, yeah, we technically missed out on one, didn't we? Let me go through some of the other comments because a lot came through whilst I was going off on my spiel. Hyla said there's at least 10 teams that can offer Bellingham more on wages. Barcelona have agreed to sell 49% of their merchandise firm for a staggering £300 million. It's crazy. Tommy says, saw that we were ready to give Gavi 150k. Imagine what... that's what we would try to agree with Jude. Well, you know, again, there's just nothing concrete on that. But if that was true, 150k for Gavi's first contract, and he's 17. He's a year younger. By the time he's 20, we'd be negotiating for his next deal. And he's already on 150. So imagine when he gets to his third, fourth contract. Because we want to get him to his prime. That's why we would buy a player that young for that much money. Because we want to keep them in their prime. He'd be on his fourth or fifth contract by then. He'd be over 500 grand a week. 150k. You'd almost double that on his next contract. You then almost double that on his next contract. It's again, not my money, but I'm just saying, with the club that we support now, the infrastructure they've built, it's out of anything that I ever thought we would do. Hyla says, done deal. PSV Eindhoven is set to sign Lee Canahoiva from Wolves on a loan deal until June 2023. Breaking news. There we go. Medical will take place this week. Good news. Good business for Liverpool. Bad business for Wolves. I think I didn't realise Mario Götze was at PSV Eindhoven, and he's just signed for Eintracht Frankfurt. I was going to include him in this video as like what a fall from grace. He could have joined us and been a massive part of our success, but he clearly went down the wrong path. Got those injuries, and I'd like to say hasn't looked back since, but I'm sure he looks back to that day he turned us down quite often. And he's obviously at the Europa League winners, not to be laughed at. But where could Mario Götze have gone if he'd have stayed the path? Maybe the injuries ruined it. Maybe there's nothing else that could be done, but who knows? Yeah, thank you very much, everybody, for joining. It's been a great show again. I love the chat room. I love just interacting with you guys, getting your thoughts and questions in, because we're getting to that stage where there's more and more of you. So in a regular stream where there's 3 or 4 people on it, it's harder to always be constantly checking the comments and reading those out for you. So to just do it solo is a little bit easier, and it's great to interact with you and see new and old members alike getting involved. So I hope you'll stick around, and chat room turning into a Tuesday night show, I think, at the moment. So most Tuesdays, but there's one a week. Can't guarantee which day, but always one a week. So do stick around for that. Thank you very much for watching. As I said, please do like this video. It really helps us out. And if you haven't done and wanted to, do consider subscribing like Peter and Daz have done already today. You can also become a member, as I said. The link for that is in the video description. It's $3.99 a month, and you get a nice badge next to your name, and of course all of your generous donations go straight back into the channel. We do not take a penny out of it, so I think it's well worth it. I'm a member myself, as is James, as is Charlie, and of course Jen in the live chat currently is a member as well. So please do consider that if you would like to, but of course no pressure whatsoever. And you can also join our Discord server for notifications whenever we go live or post a new video. We're going to be here every night, 7:30, and we have videos throughout the day as well. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3, sometimes as much as 4 videos a day. So plenty of Liverpool content to keep you occupied between now and the start of pre-season, which is about 10 days away, which seems pretty crazy. We'll be back, and we'll have plenty of coverage for you for that as well as watch-alongs for all live pre-season games, and then of course the Community Shield at the end of July before the Premier League season finally gets back underway. It's only just bloody ended, but we need it back ASAP, don't we? I've been Louis Fell. Thank you very much for tuning in once again and watching the chat room on the LFC Transfer Room. This has been the LFC Transfer Room, and I've been Louis. Take care, and we will see